Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Paul Enos joins us. He's the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Bryce a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always delighted to welcome to the program, in quotes, the landlord, my friend, Paul Enos.
Sammy, good to see you, buddy.
Great to see you, too. He's the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, and you traveled a huge distance to get here today. It's almost 10 yards from your office.
10 yards? Is it even that?
I doubt it. All right, is the problem with the supply chain that we're just buying too much stuff?
Demand's part of it, but the reality is we have a labor shortage across the board. That is really, I think, the issue at hand. We have an issue with labor in the trucking industry. We have 30% fewer drivers than we did before the pandemic. Let me back that up. We have a truck driver shortage that is 30% higher than it was before the pandemic. We've gone from 60,000 to 80,000. But we also have, on all those different links in the supply chain, shortages as well. I went into a grocery store last night. My daughter wanted some strawberries. No strawberries, no cut strawberries. Everything is gone. The shelf where they have all the prepared fruit, all bare. And, it kind of makes sense if you don't have people to unload the fruit, to cut the fruit, to put it in the little plastic bowls. So we are seeing issues not just in the trucking industry. We're seeing issues at the ports. We're seeing issues at the warehouses. We're seeing issues at grocery stores and restaurants.
Okay, so let's take some of these bit by bit here. You had a shortage and have had over the years of truckers, and there has been a need for truckers. Has that increased because of the demand, or is it just that retirement ages, not enough people coming into the industry, or people who were in the industry just deciding they want out?
I think it's all of the above. We have a lot of people retiring. We're an old industry. The average age of a truck driver is 47 years old, which is a year older than me. You don't have as many young people coming into the industry because, look, it's a tough job. It's a tough job that requires a lot of training, a lot of skill to be able to do it right. You have to be able to pass a drug test, which is an issue, and it's definitely an issue in your states where you have legalized marijuana. You can't smoke marijuana and be a truck driver. You have to be able to pass a drug test. Since we've had a drug clearinghouse in effect since 2020, we've had almost 100,000 drivers out of the industry. So that's definitely part of it. You couple that with huge demand, it's a challenge. There was an article the other day that said, we can fix this really easily. We'll fix the supply chain shortage. We'll give truck drivers an extra 18 minutes a day to drive, and we'll fix it. Now, look, I'll agree that we have issues with attention time, productivity, and we're waiting a lot. Just giving 18 minutes to every truck driver isn't going to solve the problem, because you have to take into account where that freight's coming from, where it's going to, how long are you going to be waiting for that truck to be loaded or unloaded, traffic, weather. We saw that at the end of the year with the pass shutdown. For four days, Donner Pass was shut down in Reno, which had some pretty big impacts and ramifications to our grocery stores and to our retail operations here in Reno.
Can I just jump in for a second? You have concerns about that shutdown, that it wasn't just the weather that was causing the problem.
I do. I think that, look, Sam, we've always had weather. How we deal with the weather has been a little different. And look, I know that Caltrans and even NDOT, all across the country, people are having issues finding folks to plow snow, to go out there and maintain the roads. So yes, it's definitely a challenge. We have seen the pass shut down a lot more in the last 5 years than we've seen in the previous 15. So there is a change with how Donner Pass is managed. And look, I know labor shortage is part of it, but yeah, we'd like to get our arms around that and get that a little better. One thing when we talk about transportation that I think we need to be very cognizant of is redundant systems. Do we have redundant routes where if a place is closed down, we can put freight somewhere else? If you don't have those redundant systems, it's a challenge. And when you look at all the roads that come into Reno from the west being shut down, it's going to cause a problem.
The National Weather Service for years has always looked at the first major storm of the season and over-forecast it because they want to warn people that, dangerous situation ahead. You've been dealing with summer all year, and now it's, you need to be aware.
It's the media's fault? From a former weatherman, that says a lot.
I'm saying, let's start with the National Weather Service that informs the media, because 40 years ago, the National Weather Service decided that they were no longer going to be the people that talked to the public. It was going to be private enterprise. And so they shunted out 99% of the communication to the media. So I'm not blaming the media. I'm just saying that they are repeating what they are told.
I love blaming the media, Sam. It's always fun. Hey, I was honestly, I had a bunch of requests for interviews that week, and I was worried about getting on TV and causing panic buying, and because you're not going to have trucks be able to come in, and there are going to be issues, and so I didn't want to help fuel that fire.
Right, and I agree with you. I'm just saying that do you think with snow delays, things like that, that there is now just an abundance of over caution in terms of stopping traffic on those freeways?
I do, and I think that's a big issue. We have better technology in terms of being able to deal with snow and weather than we've ever had. We have automatic braking systems on trucks, chains. Who likes putting on chains? We now have the ability to use something called an auto sock, which is like a fabric shower cap, for lack of a better description, that you put over the tires in a truck. You can put it on your car, your truck. It takes minutes, just a couple of minutes, as opposed to 10 to 20 to 45 minutes if you're chaining up a truck. You have traction around that whole tire. So we have better ways to deal with the weather in our vehicles, the technology in our cars. You would hope that would be recognized, and we would try to keep those roads, those arteries open a little more.
Let's talk about, go back to the hiring issue. What do you see as an industry as the solution to this? Because it seems like it's only going to grow unless something is done. In construction, for example, they're doing a lot to say, hey, it's a technology industry. It's no longer just hammering nails, but there's a lot of computers involved to get the kids more interested in being involved. Is that one of the ways?
Issues is kids, right? I mean, if you're in the construction industry and if you're in high school, you can go to the construction industry right out of high school. And you can go and get a job that you work a couple years and you can get paid, very good wages, a middle class lifestyle fairly quickly in the construction industry. In the trucking industry, until just recently, you could not get a job as an interstate truck driver at 18 years old. You have to be 21 years old. So in those 3 years, the trucking industry was losing a lot of those kids who may be looking at trucking as a career, as one of the quickest ways into the middle class, who really didn't have that as an option. You can get a job driving intrastate. It's kind of crazy. You can drive all the way from Las Vegas to Jackpot on US 93, but you couldn't go from Las Vegas to Kingman, Arizona, or from Reno to Truckee. So there's a pilot program that has been established by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration that was part of the infrastructure bill. We'll see where that goes. I think that, hey, you have kids who do have that mindset, who are required to have 400 hours of training that isn't required now for those people who are in intrastate commerce. You have to have technology on the truck, automatic braking system, anti-rollover, cameras. So we think that standard is a good thing for our young drivers, that it will enhance safety, not just for those interstate people, but for those folks who are in intrastate operations as well. So we're hopeful that this pilot program, which is only 3,000 drivers, but if we're successful with that we can go to those high schools. And if a kid isn't going to join the military or isn't going to go to college, we can talk to them about trucking as a career.
Are you looking at exemptions on an immigration level to be able to bring workers in from other countries?
Yeah, the trucking industry attracts a tremendous amount of immigrants today. When somebody is coming here from another country, Sam, truck driving is a very appealing job to them, and especially being an independent contractor or an owner-operator, because they can get in that truck, they can work for 10 or 11 months out of the year, and they can go home. They don't have a boss that they have to say, hey, can I get 8 weeks off so I can go back home and see my family? When you're an owner-operator, independent contractor, you can do that. Things like the PRO Act, which was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives. Hopefully it's languishing in the Senate not to come back. That's a little scary, because that would make it almost impossible for an owner-operator to be hired by a trucking company. And typically it's trucking companies that hire owner-operators because they need that extra capacity.
Right.
One thing about the trucking industry, Sam, that impresses me every day is it's very nimble. When there's greater demand, we are able to serve those needs and get things done. Yeah, you may wait a little longer, but when you have an industry that is decentralized, as the trucking industry is, the average trucking company is 6 trucks. When you have a lot of owner-operators that you can call on and say, hey, we need help. Either the ship came in early, or there's increased production, or hey, we need more food at the grocery stores. We can typically make that happen. So that's something that I think is really unique about the trucking industry, especially compared to the other modes of transportation, where it's pretty top heavy, where you don't have a wide swath of small companies that are able to come in and make things happen when they need to.
Ports of entry, especially the shipping ports. We're seeing, I believe it's Virginia, is opening up and has a whole bunch of ports that are under their one authority. Are we seeing any relief to the backlog with some of the moves that have been made by the federal government in Long Beach and that area?
So it was really interesting because, when I was reading the news last week, I think a week ago, it was like, hey, we're declaring victory. We solved the port problem. The backlog at Long Beach is only 18 ships. Well, that's not the reality. The backlog at Long Beach as of last week was 105 ships. The ships just moved further out.
Right.
So, that's a little crazy that, hey, we declare victory, but we just kind of changed the definition of the backlog, and the ships are out further. You saw the picture of the Secretary of Transportation celebrating, praising the ports for their efforts, speaking with somebody who was actually with him when he was at Long Beach, and they told me, he was saying, well, what about those ships out there? I think some of the media coverage actually does a disservice to the reality, but it also does a disservice to the Secretary of Transportation and some of the people in charge, because it makes them look like they're trying to sweep some of this stuff under the rug and not recognize what the real problem is, as opposed to, yeah, they actually know what's going on and they're calling the people on it.
Okay, so what is the real problem?
What is the real problem? Mm-hmm. The real problem, Sam, is we have a labor shortage. We have a global labor shortage that is causing, absolutely, it's from manufacturing in China, it's from our supply chain here. That's what the issue is.
Do you see a renaissance? I mean, people keep talking about it, but do you see a renaissance of American manufacturing?
I would hope so, but once again, in order to make American manufacturing work here, you need people who want to go to work. I would hope, Sam, that we could bring things like microchips back to America, that we can look at some of these essential, in terms of our economy.
Seeing Arizona and Texas, tens of billions of dollars being invested in microchips.
Great places. And hey, I don't agree with the Secretary of Commerce on some of the things she did when she was the governor of Rhode Island, but she deserves a tremendous amount of credit for saying, we need to start making those microchips here. We need to bring some of those manufacturing jobs back to America, reshoring. And I hope so. I think we do have some serious people who are talking about those things, and I give them a tremendous amount of credit, because we do need some of those very essential things that we have coming back here.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Paul Enos from the Nevada Trucking Association after this timeout.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Serving Our Kids Foundation's mission is to serve homeless, at-risk, and food insecure children in grades K through 8 throughout Southern Nevada. During the pandemic, Serving Our Kids has seen a 42% increase in the number of children served, providing more than 4,500 meals to kids in over 100 schools weekly. Serving Our Kids is powered by community support and volunteers. To learn how you can help, visit servingourkids.org.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your furnace breaks down today? We fix it today. Why freeze for days while your furnace is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get warm again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 and we'll fix it today. That's 323-5585 or online at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Paul Enos. He's the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association. Trial lawyers and the trucking industry are not getting along very well. There's a lot of issues.
So what we've seen in the last decade is the industry has gotten safer as we have invested more in technology, as we invest in training for our drivers, as an industry that spends over $10 billion annually on safety, on training, on technology. In that same time, we have seen nuclear verdicts. Those verdicts, and the definition of it's all over the place, so let's say over $10 million. We've seen those increase by 967%. That's from a study that came out by the American Transportation Research Institute. The trial lawyers are very smart. They are very good at what they do, and there is a big incentive if you can go out there and get a multi-million-dollar judgment. We saw a judgment in Florida, absolutely heartbreaking, when somebody is killed in an accident. And if we're responsible, we're an industry that's going to take that responsibility. We're not going to fight that. But when you see $1 billion judgment, that just encourages more of those folks to go after our industry, to sue the trucking industry, and it does have ramifications.
So that would be like a $400 million payday for the trial lawyers involved.
Potentially, yeah, if they're taking 40% off the top. So yes, that's huge, and unfortunately what that does when you see those kind of headlines, and the reality, Sam, $1 billion judgment, the two companies involved are small companies, it's never going to be paid out, but it does set that floor. And so what happens? An insurance company sees that, the insurance company says, we got to raise rates, motor carriers then raise their rates. We see those rates to their shippers end up, in increased rates at our grocery stores and the things that we consume. But where I really worry, Sam, is, once again, for an industry where your average size trucking company is 6 trucks, a lot of them cannot afford the insurance now.
Okay.
And so if you can't afford insurance as a trucking company, you can't be in business. And as I said, one of the things that makes the trucking industry as agile and nimble as we are is that it's decentralized. If we see fewer of those companies being able to get insurance and stay in business, you're going to see more centralization. And I think that's actually something that should be a little worrisome to people who are looking at the supply chain issues. We can see some of that excess capacity go away. If you do have these smaller companies not being able to operate.
Okay, briefly, because we've only got a couple of minutes left here and we have to take another break. What are you guys organizing
So what we're
to
doing,
do?
Sam, is the legislature is a very difficult venue in order to get to try to get things done when you're going up against the trial lawyers. So we're taking a page out of their book and we're educating our folks on what the other side is doing. So we're aware, so we're cognizant, and really giving them some tools to be able to answer questions in a right way, so it's not creating a bad fact pattern in a deposition. So you're not going to go to trial and see these insane judgments. So we're really trying to give our folks the same tools that the trial lawyers have been employing against our industry for the last dozen years.
All right, we'll take another break and we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Are you a homeowner who's interested in remodeling or building a home? At Design Outdoor, we can show you how adding natural or manufactured masonry stone can add beauty and value to your home. And we refer only the best contractors. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, He needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your air conditioner breaks down today. We fix it today. Why sweat for days while your air is down? When Nevada Heating can get the job done today, and you can get cool again. For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 or see us online at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Paul Enos. He is the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association and a great friend to Nevada Newsmakers. Without getting into the political side of it, the governor announced yesterday that he's raised over $8 million for his re-election campaign. I think a lot of us were stunned when Kenny Gwynn years ago announced he had $3 million for his election campaign. Your thoughts?
Look, I think this is going to be a very expensive race. We have a United States Senate race that could determine control of the Senate. So, yeah, I think the money the candidates are raising, they're going to need every dollar of it.
And that's where we have to leave it. Paul Enos, always a pleasure. Come back soon, sir.
Thanks, Sammy.
Okay, and we'll be right back.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Subscribe to our Nevada Newsmakers channel. We'll see you on the next broadcast.